this is my channel, Duck Potatoes World, and welcome to the 2025 State of the Knitter Address. So every January, I go through my stash and kind of try to make sure that things are where Ravelry says they're stored so I can find them later, and make sure I know what I have and that I know where what I have is at. Usually I just do that with my stash, and then I usually also have a State of the Knitter Address where I let you guys know all the things I did over the last year. I used to include New Year's resolutions and goals for my knitting for the next year, but I don't think I did that last year because I never reached any of my goals anyway. They change so much throughout the year that it's impossible. But this year I thought it would be fun to drag all of my knitting related things out and really get a good inventory on what I have, maybe de-stash a thing or two. You can't see it, but there's a whole nother tote full of yarn sitting on top of this one. And I probably don't need all of this. My husband says that my hobby is taking over our home. And I tried to say I didn't think it was, but now I think he might have a point. So I am going to go through all of my stuff today, see what I want to keep, what I want to de-stash as giveaways for you guys, and for door prizes for my in-person knitting group. And yeah, that's the plan for today. So I'll probably speed this up so you don't have to watch. I don't know how long this is going to take, but it's probably not going to be short. But yeah, that's what we're doing today. I'm going to keep track of notes, and then at the end I will let you know what I discovered. I have everything up here except for the actual machinery of my sock machine. I do have my sock machine yarn, but not the actual machine. But yeah, otherwise this is all of the tools, tricks, and goodies that I have. All the yarn, all the needles, all the bags. Let's see what we got. So I have no idea where my camera left off. It ran out of room on the memory card, so I have a new memory card up. And I have been working since about noon, maybe a little bit before then.
I will see you then.
And I have gone through all of my queued projects and bags and weeded through those. I have gone through all of my sock yarn and divided it up into two totes. One is sock yarn for socks, and one is sock yarn for shawls. I have gone through my worsted weight and above yarn and weeded through that, and I've gone through all my DK and sport weight and gathered that up and put it in the right place. Believe it or not, I have an entire another tote full of yarn to de-stash. It'll be giveaways for my friends and my channel and different things. Yeah, so I went through my yarn on my sock machine cart and made sure that the only yarn up here is sock machine yarn on cones. This giant pile right here is what I'm going to go through next. These are, well, except for this. All of these are my bags. my knitting bags. I have a lot of knitting bags. Some of these had projects in them and I dumped them out and returned the project yarn to stash because I needed to consolidate. But yeah, I need to go through these next and decide what I can live without from this pile. So that is our next stop. That's all the damage I can do today. I know where everything is and what I have, and I got a pile of stuff to destash. So I think we're gonna call it quits for today. I'm gonna clean up this big old mess of stuff, and I will come back and give you the numbers for the rest of the State of the Knitter address. Oh my goodness, you guys. So that was a lot. Yeah, so I think in the end, I wound up with 2 totes with just fingering weight yarn. One is just random balls of sock yarn, and a whole second tote that is literally like planned projects in fingering weight yarn. Clearly, I have a yarn type. And then one box of DK lace sport weight, and then one tote with worsted and above weight yarn. So yeah, that was an activity. I tell you what, I hadn't planned on having this video out for you guys a whole lot sooner. So I filmed and did all that organizing like a day or two after Christmas. And then the Sunday after Christmas, that evening, I got sick. I did manage to film on January 1st and do our cast-on party. So if you're looking for the January 1st episode, check my lives. It's the only live I have, but that's where that episode is if you missed it. It doesn't show up in the videos like all the other ones. I did manage to get that done, and then I lost my voice, and I was sick up until just a few days ago. So I was sick for almost 2 weeks. So I didn't have a voice, and so I couldn't film the rest of the State of the Knitter address. So I'm finally back. I mostly have a voice. I feel much better. I still have a cough. So if I cough, I'm sorry. But I have all the data, and we're ready to run over what in the world the crazy duck potato lady did in terms of knitting and crochet in 2024. So total, I completed 88 projects. One of them kind of doesn't count because it was not really a thing. It was just a swatch that I did to learn some techniques, some color work techniques. So really 87 projects, but it is in Ravelry. So I put almost everything, probably everything in Ravelry because I'm crazy that way. But yeah, 87 projects. So just to tell you how that compares to years past, in 2023, I did 72. So I did more this year. In fact, this is the most I've ever done in a whole year. In 2021, I only did 32. And in 2020, 37. 2019 was 50, and 2018 was 56. 2017 was 31, and 2016 was the year I learned to knit. That was only 8. So I did more. Of course, the last 2 years, largely due to Lottie, my sock machine. So with Lottie, I'm able to crank out socks and tubes and some different things much faster than I could do hand knitting. So I think really the massive increase is primarily thanks to Lottie. But still, I'm kind of surprised that I had a whole lot of projects in 2018 and 2019, and then not nearly so many in 2020 and 2021. And I don't know, 2020 was COVID, I think, so you would think I would have a lot of projects because we were all stuck home. But I don't know if maybe my projects were bigger or more complicated. I'm not really sure why there was the drop-off, but I've definitely upped my game the last 2 years. So 87 projects for 2024. And the breakdown for that, if you're interested, is just basically 6 shawls, 8 hats, 26 things that I call crafts. So it could be like toys or earrings or ornaments or just
random things that aren't a clothing category. 24 socks or sock tubes, 5 cowls, 3 blankets, let's see, 2 tops, like pullover tops, 5 bags or purses, 3 washcloths, and 5 mittens. So that is what I did. I did a lot of crafts this last year. Like, I always do a few, but I did a lot this last year. And I did quite a lot of crochet. So out of all of those projects, I think 17 of them, give or take, were crochet, and the rest, let's see, 36 were knit, and 33 would have been done on my CSM, on Lottie. So 36 hand knit things, plus the 17 crochet things, that puts you at what? Let's see, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53. So that puts me at 53 for hand done things, which is kind of on par with 2018 and 2019. So like I said, I really think Lottie, her presence definitely ups the volume of things I'm able to get done in a year. So appreciate her for that. I do have a breakdown, kind of like specifically what I've been knitting. So if you are interested in that, I'm going to talk about it, but I'm not going to pull everything out and show it. I'm better. I feel better, but I don't have the energy for that, y'all. So if you are wanting to see pictures, you can check out my Ravelry. All my projects are on Ravelry. Feel free if you want to see something, if you want to see what a pattern is in case you might want to knit or crochet it. Check out my Ravelry. There will be a link to Ravelry down below, and they will have pictures of everything. But I will run through my 6 shawls. I did the Batad by Stephen West. My mom and I did that one together, and that one was a lot of fun because she had bought the solar system set from Destination Yarns, and she made the Batad and had enough left over for me to do one as well. So that was fun and special. And then I did a little, like a small shoulder wrap, that the pattern was the Granny Stripes, which is a blanket by Lucy of Attica 24. But I didn't make a blanket. I just made a small shoulder crochet shawl that I actually gave to Tracy Anderson at Hot Springs Fiber Company. Hi, friends. That was mainly me kind of learning crochet, or continuing to learn with that. Then I did the Tally shawl by Alina Apasova. And that one I knit because my friend knit it and I got jealous and had to have one too. Go figure. And then I did the let's see, Magical Thinking by Casapinka, and that was another one that I did with my mom. She did a Magical Thinking also, and she gave me the yarn for that one. And then I did a This Away by Carissa Browning, which was the Fiber Festival project. That shawl was really fun because you could choose to do it in knit or crochet. Now I knit it, but I am planning at some point eventually to go back and crochet one as well. So I'll have the This Away, which is the knit, and the That Away, which is the crochet. So that's kind of cool. Carissa Browning, I thought, was pretty neat to do both methods. And then I finished up the year with my Hot Springs Fiber Company Advent shawl from our Advent calendar for 2024. I love that shawl. I feel like it gives serious, like, Hogwarts vibes. Love it. So those were my 6 shawls. I did 8 hats. I did 3 Happy and You Know It hats. That is my own design. If you are interested in getting that pattern, there will be a link to my Ravelry store in the box below. But I made 3 of those. One was for a class, and then I made one for my dad and my stepmother. My father actually commissioned those for me. He paid for the yarn. I just knit them for him. But they sent me pictures with them wearing them at Christmas, and they were super cute. And then I knit a Mountains Backroads hat by Jennifer Myrick, which I actually had knit before, I think back in 2019? I'd have to look it up. I don't remember when I did it. But I had made one for my husband, and it was out of 100% wool. And he wore it so much that he just felted it over time, like taking it in and out of his pocket and, I don't know, carrying it around with him. So that hat got sent to my son Joe. He inherited the original, and I made a new one. The hat was a little small to begin with when I first knit it, so I made it a little bit bigger this time, and I made it out of a different yarn that hopefully won't felt with his using it. Excuse me. But he wanted it exactly the same, so I made it out of the very similar colors, and he has been wearing that all winter. And then I also did the Artist of Pentacles hat by Jess Knowles, and I love that hat. I made that one for me. And I crocheted 2 Healer Puppy Beanies by Jennifer Borchert for my niece and my nephew, and those turned out really well. Those were quite the challenge for me. Just the crochet itself was very simple, but just how to sew that together and put it together, that was a really different project for me. So I was really pleased with the way those came out. And then last, I did finish the Tarbet hat. I was watching Roxanne Richardson, and she had knit one for her husband. And as soon as I saw it, I knew that was the kind of hat my husband would love. And I did that one right before Christmas without letting my husband know, which if you saw the live, I talked about it there. But I was just so proud of me that I managed to knit a whole hat in 3 or 4 days, and my husband had no idea. So he was really surprised to get that for Christmas. So those were my hats. I did 26 different kinds of crafty items. I made one Soho Mama Cat and Her Baby Kittens by Judith Marie Knits. And I made 6 tubes. They weren't even tubes really. I think they were flat. I knit them flat, just strips on my sock machine that were for the Arkansas Art Festival where they did a yarn bombing. And I made 2 thick hand knit, like you knit with your hands, like didn't use needles to make these really thick mats that were for the yarn bombing as well. I made 7 earring projects. Now some of those projects had more than 1 pair of earrings. So it was a total of 10.5 pairs of earrings, 5 of which were crocheted. And yeah, so that was quite a lot of earrings this year. And then I did 3 Lacy Angel ornaments by Erica Dietz. All 3 of those were crocheted. I made a set of ornaments. Now each piece of this set I have as a different Ravelry project because I used patterns from all over. And if you want to see those patterns, you can, like I said, check out my Ravelry. It's in there. But it was like a tiny pair of socks and a tiny hat and a tiny scarf and a tiny pair of mittens. So 4 projects, but it was a set that I gave as a Christmas gift to a friend of mine. Those were a lot of fun. And then I have 3 projects that are the little I-cord Christmas tree ornaments that I've been making. I made a total of 5 ornaments, but it's 3 projects because I made one and did a project, made a second one, did a project, and then made a set of 3. That was 1 project. So lots of little crafty things. Out of all those 26 crafty things, 8 of them were actually crocheted. So I definitely have a lot of crochet. I mean, this is the year that I really kind of started getting crochet and understanding it and being able to figure things out. So lots more crochet this year. I did 24 socks and or sock tubes. I think 3 of those are just tubes that I cranked out on Lottie and gave to other people. They belonged to their yarn and I just cranked out a tube. So 21 pairs of socks, all knit on Lottie. And I mostly did the Toe Up Simple Sock by Dean & Bean. That's my favorite sock recipe on Lottie. I think I did 18 that way. I did 1 pair of Susan's socks by Dean & Bean just because I wanted to try out the wedge heel. I'd never done it before. I'm not wild about it. I probably won't do it again. And I did 2 pair of the CSM Heel Tab No-Show socks by Sue Vernuski. I can't read my notes. My handwriting's not very good. That I really like. I made 2 of those both for me. I've made some of those before in the past, but never for myself. So this time I made those for me. So lots of socks. None of them were head knit. If you are in the Arkansas Hot Springs Fiber Company Fellowship of the Sock, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I'm a bad Fellowship of the Sock member. I made socks. I just didn't hand knit them. I cranked them on the machine. Now, most of those were not for me. At least 13 of them were for other people. So, but I did make quite a few. 13, 14, 15, 16 of them at least were for other people. I did also knit 5 cowls, starting with the 3 Tahoe hooded cowls by Bina Alper that I made at the very beginning of 2024. I've been loving wearing that cowl the last few days because it's been pretty cold. And I like that I can pull it up over my ears and over my nose to keep my face warm, but I don't have to have the hood up. I can keep the hood down and I just like it. It's a really good pattern. And she has like multiple versions of that pattern with like slightly different stitch patterns and slightly different yarn configurations. That pattern was, I think, from Etsy. So I highly recommend you check out Bina Alper's stuff. Her cows, they're like hooded cows. They're really great. I also knit the Warm Heart Cow by Hannah Miller, which was a kit that my husband had bought me for Valentine's Day in 2023, and I knit it for Valentine's Day in 2024. And then I crocheted the Brick Cow by Kathleen Fuller. So that is a new pattern that goes with her new book, Sew Into You. And I'm enjoying that her books all have a pattern that go with them. I actually really like the Brick Cow. It's a nice, snug cow. It's very warm. But I made one for my grandmother and gave it to her for Christmas. I also made 3 blankets. So I finished my 2022 Knit Blanket of Knowledge Shell Shocked. And I made a Banyan Love and Double Banyan, no, let's see, that what's called a Banyan Love and Double Love Baby Afghan Lapghan by Margaret McInnes. I made that for our pastor and his wife when they had a baby. And then I made a Summer Fade Hexie blanket by Mallory Crowell for another couple in our church that had a baby. So that was all super fun. I like making blankets, and I was really pleased with how all of those turned out. So I also did 2, I call them sweaters. If you're a purist, they aren't long sleeved, so maybe they don't count. I don't know, 2 pullover style tops, like garments. I did the ranunculus by Midori Hirose. Everyone and their dog had done a ranunculus, so I had to get in on there, and I love my ranunculus. I used a discontinued yarn that I had bought on clearance, and I only had 2 hanks of, and the yarn is not holding up really well. It's not got anything to do with the pattern. The yarn just probably wasn't an ideal yarn for a garment any way you sliced it. So at some point I'm probably going to be making another one of those, but in the meantime, I really love the way it turned out. And then I also made a V-back tee in fingering by Jamie Hoffman. I made that for the Arkansas Yarn Crawl and did that one in Hot Springs Fiber Company yarn, and I love that one. I'm very happy with that. I also made 5 like bags, different kinds of bags. So I did the Two to Tango bag by Tamara Kelly, which goes with the Kathleen Fuller book, Two to Tango. And I made a Books and Hooks bag. 2 of those, I crocheted those. Those patterns are by Kathleen Fuller. And I don't know if they go with a specific novel of hers or if it's just the bag that goes with her books in general, but I made 2 of them. I made one the way that the pattern's written with a handle, and then I actually modified, I'm so proud of myself, I modified a crochet project so that the second one, instead of having a handle, had a flap that I could close and I keep my Bible in it. And then I took a class at the DFW Fiber Festival and crocheted a cottage core little bag, little bitty purse. And I made one during the class, and then the next day I made a second one for my niece so that she had a little purse. And that was a lot of fun. So I did all of my bags they were all crochet. All 5 of my bags were crocheted. So that's kind of cool. And then I made several sets of washcloths, and I did those early in the year when I was learning to crochet. And I used the mini crochet washcloth set by Kathleen Fuller. I did 2 sets. When I was learning to crochet, and each set had 2 washcloths in it technically. And then I did a double thick diagonal pot holder by Sarah Stearns, and that was a lot of fun. And actually I need to make more of those because that's my favorite pot holder in my house. And then let's see, I did 5 mittens. I did 2 sets of the Mr. and Mrs. Duckpotatoe's Scrap Happy mittens by me. Also a pattern available in my Ravelry store if you're interested. They were made to kind of coordinate with those Tahoe hooded cowls. And then I wound up making 3 sets of the Carolig by Yosolda Teague, and those are a lot of fun. I didn't do any of those Curligs the way that the pattern's written because it's a fingering weight yarn pattern, but I knit it in worsted weight yarn and just did the toddler size mitten. So that worked out really well. I haven't actually worn any of my fingerless mitts because we just haven't had good weather for it. That's not true. I think I did back around Thanksgiving. I got to wear 1 pair. But I have worn, like I said, I've been wearing my Tahoe hooded cow, and I've worn my Tahoe, my Scrap Happy mittens to go with it several times. So it has been crazy busy this year. I am super excited about all the things that I've done. If you hung out with me on my January 1st episode, we finished off everything with a cast-on party. So I have cast on 3 projects during the video. I think, well, actually, technically, I cast on 2 during the video. And then the third thing, I didn't think it through, and I didn't wind my ball of yarn. So I had to, and that was a crocheted project. So I had to go chain that after we finished up. But as of the 1st, I had started 3 projects. Now I've already finished that cowl that I was going to chain. I did start it on the 1st, just not during the video, and I finished it on the 2nd, so that one's already done. It was my 2nd brick cowl, the 1st for 2025. And then I did cast on my wedding peacock shawl for my sister as a wedding veil, and the Edinburgh Lanes shawl, which I've been calling my Arkansas crawl shawl, because it's made out of all of the things I bought when I was crawling. So the yarn came from Hot Springs and Rich Mountain, the bag came from the Knitting Bee, the Bumblebee, the Busy Bee. I can never remember the name of that shop. I'm sorry. It came from the Bee, and the stitch markers all came from Arkansas Yarn Co. Not Crow. So that was kind of fun. And then a couple of days after that, I went ahead and cast on 2 new things in January. So I don't normally do this. I've never had a cast on party. I don't usually have a lot of cast on itis, so to speak, but 2025 is a new year and we're going to do things a new way, apparently. Because I went ahead and cast on another shawl that you guys haven't seen, and I'm going to show it to you for the first time. But I cast on the Biased Opinion shawl by Tracy Anderson of Hot Springs Fiber Company. This was a kit that I won during their birthday sale or anniversary sale in 2023. And I haven't got very far, but my friend Antonia also won a kit at the same time, and she wanted to start hers, so I thought, I like to knit along with her. So I have the first narrow stripe done, and it is lots of fun. Simple, but very, very pretty. And it's really kind of like a wrap. I think it's called the Biased Opinion wrap, actually. So I started that on the 5th, and then on the 7th, the pianist in our choir asked if I would make her some Christmas tree ornaments. So I'm kind of late to getting it done because I was sick after Christmas for so long. But I did finally get all of the I-cord made. I have 6 of these strands of I-cord, and so I just need to sew up the little trees. And I started that on the 7th. So once I sit down and sew up the trees, that should be done pretty quickly. But yeah, that's kind of a lot of new cast-ons for me all at once. And I put it in this super cute bag. I don't use it very often because it's kind of small, but it's got all the little Miss Sunshine characters on it. I love it. So in addition to technically it's 5 cast-ons, but one of them's already finished. So we'll say 4. In addition to my new 4 cast-ons, I have several projects that are carrying over from 2024. So my 2023 Blankets of Knowledge, my Cabin in the Woods knit blanket, and my Enchanted knit blanket are going to carry over. Now I am diligently working on that Cabin in the Woods. My son, if I haven't knit on it in a few days, he starts to pester me. That was his Christmas present, so he's ready to have it. That one should be done, hopefully, Lord willing, by the end of January, maybe end of February, I'm hoping at the latest. And then my Enchanted, it's not finished. All it needs is a border, but it is still hanging out in Hot Springs, being a shop sample, and I need to go get my blanket so I can finish it. And then my 2024 Blankets of Knowledge, of course, the way that I do things, I start my Blanket of Knowledge in August. So it goes from August to July. So my 2024 ones are still in progress. I have the 2024, I call it my Scarf of Knowledge. That is my project that I use to demonstrate the stitches for the knit videos that I make. And then I have the Fall Fun knit version. And then I have the campfire crochet version. And you guys, I am so enamored with the crochet Blanket of Knowledge. I've actually been working on it today, so I'll show you. I have started the October block here. Hopefully you can see that really good. It is actually for October, I decided to do the bonus stitch for the whole block because it just looked like so much fun. But yeah, I am definitely working on the campfire right now. And then I pulled out of retirement a couple of projects that really need to have some love. So one is my Knit Your Bit. It is a scrap metered square blanket that I started back in 2018. And I will probably be working on it for a million years. My husband doesn't know, but it's for him. He's always like, where's my blanket? I actually already knit him a blanket, but it was one of the first things I knit. It's not the best thing I ever knit. But I've tried to add a few squares on it. I'm not in any particular hurry to get it done. Some years I've done like several hundred squares, and maybe not that many, maybe 100 squares. That's probably the most I've done in a year. And I've had years where I've done none at all or literally one. So, but I pulled it out for 2025. I like to get at least a few blocks, little squares done on it every year. So you might be seeing that one pretty soon. And then my summer socks that I was actually hand knitting, that I was using as poolside knitting, I pulled those out of retirement. I need to get those finished. What happened with those is I was knitting them, and my friend Antonia was knitting her tally shawl at the pool, and then I got project envy, so I started knitting the tally shawl, and the socks kind of got put in hibernation for a little while. But I'm going to pull those back out. So that gives me, as of today, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 whips going into 2025. I would love to hear from you guys. How many whips do you usually put on at a time? Do you guys like to have a lot? Do you like to do one thing at a time? Do you like to keep the number down? Do you have a whole bunch? Maybe you have like 50 whips. Like, how do you keep them organized? Do you have a system for deciding what you want to work on and when? Anybody have any big plans for 2025? One of the things I really enjoy about the State of the Knitter Address is that I get to look back and see what I've done over the last year when it comes to my crafting, and look at trends and see areas where I've grown as a crafter. Like, I call this the State of the Knitter Address, but with all that crochet I've been doing, I might have to come up with a different name for next year. Excuse me, you guys, I'm losing it. But yeah, I am really happy with all the things I've gotten done. I'm sorry this video is so late coming out. Remember, if you want to catch the January episode, it was a live, so it is available either in the Created to Create playlist or under the live tab from the channel page on YouTube. And I did draw a lucky duck. I drew a lucky duck for December's shareable, and I still am waiting to hear from them. And then for the January episode, since we were live, I went ahead and shared January shareable from the people who were watching live. So that lucky duck has already got a hold of me. She knows she gets the January shareable. But I do have something exciting to share in February. So make sure you catch me. Next episode should be February 1st. And until then, you guys make the day beautiful. Spend some time creating. I'm going to close us in prayer. Gracious Lord Jesus, thank you so much for the blessings that you give us. Thank you, Lord, for the healing. Sometimes I think you give us illness so that we will just slow down and remember to rely on you, that you are the physician, you are the healer, and that you are in control of all things. I thank you so much for the productive year I had back in 2024. I pray that you'll put your blessings on 2025. With my knitting and my crochet, may you use me and my channel to do your will and to spread your love to everybody. And in your Son, Jesus' most precious name, I pray. Amen. I'm done.
Good.
Stop recording. Oh, I didn't do it.
No.
I said the wrong words. Ooh, your hands are cold. What am I supposed to say?
Stop recording.